There's a man everyone fears, but no one understands. Not because he's cruel, not because he's loud, but because he knows something the rest of the world refuses to learn. Centuries ago, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote a secret blueprint for power, a formula so precise, so unsettling, that it still terrifies those who read it honestly. And yet, it explains everything. Why some rise and others are forgotten. Why some command respect while others beg for it. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet frustration, the sense that the world doesn't reward kindness, but strength. That no matter how good your intentions are, someone always seems to step ahead of you, not because they're better, but because they're colder, sharper, calculated. You've been taught to play fair, but you've been playing in a world that doesn't. This is not a story about cruelty. It's about control. The kind that makes people stop when you enter a room. The kind that makes your silence louder than their words. The kind that can build empires or destroy them. For centuries, the powerful have studied Machiavelli in secret, not as history, but as weaponry. Because behind every throne, every billionaire, every unshakable leader lies the same principle. Fear is not the absence of love, it's the recognition of power. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need to be born ruthless to master it. You only need to stop apologizing for your strength. Stop diluting your presence to make others comfortable. Stop mistaking gentleness for weakness. Machiavelli didn't write for tyrants, he wrote for the observant. For those who see through the illusions of morality and understand one brutal fact. The world respects those who dare to lead it. So this isn't about becoming a villain. It's about awakening the part of you that refuses to kneel. The part that no longer waits for permission to rise. Because when you understand his formula, truly understand it, you stop chasing approval. You start commanding destiny. And in that moment, you don't just become respected. You become feared. Chapter 1. The Shadow of Power. They say every generation produces one man who cannot be ignored. He doesn't speak the loudest, but when he does, people listen. He doesn't chase attention. Attention finds him. There's something about him, something that lingers even after he leaves the room. But what is it? Why do some people command power without ever raising their voice, while others fight endlessly to be taken seriously? This is the shadow of power, a force that can't be seen but can be felt. It's the quiet gravity that bends the world around a person who understands how human nature truly works. And centuries ago, one man studied this force with unnerving precision. Niccolò Machiavelli. To the world, Machiavelli became a symbol of manipulation, a name whispered to describe cunning and deceit. But that reputation hides the truth. He wasn't a villain. He was an observer, a man who dared to write down what everyone else pretended not to see. While others believed power came from virtue or luck, Machiavelli noticed something deeper. That people are not moved by ideals alone, but by instinct, fear, desire, loyalty, and survival. In every court, every company, every family, the same pattern repeats. The person who understands these instincts doesn't need to force authority. They radiate it. Because they play the game everyone is already in, only with their eyes open. You can see this in history's greatest figures. Leaders who could command nations with a glance. Generals whose soldiers would follow them into chaos. Even in today's world, the CEOs, the politicians, the icons, many of them wield power not by shouting, but by knowing. They sense what drives people, what threatens them, what makes them obey. That is what Machiavelli understood. Power is not always taken. Sometimes it's attracted. And those who carry it seem to move through life with an invisible armor, not because they are invincible, but because they understand the rules everyone else denies exist. The man everyone fears is not the tyrant or the brute. He's the one who can't be manipulated, the one who sees through masks, through weakness, through pretense. His calm unsettles people because it's not built on ego, but on awareness. He doesn't seek control. He simply possesses it. And that is the beginning of the Machiavellian truth. Power is never about noise, it's about presence. It's not about forcing fear, but evoking respect. Not through cruelty, but through understanding the hidden language of human nature. Because once you can see the invisible, you can move through the world like a shadow no one dares to touch. And that's where the story begins. Chapter 2. The Hidden Blueprint. Power has always been a mystery, worshipped, feared, misunderstood. But what if it isn't random? What if power follows a pattern, a design so precise that it can be learned, repeated, and perfected? That was Machiavelli's revelation. He didn't stumble upon luck or brute force. He discovered a formula, a hidden blueprint that has guided the powerful for centuries. And the strange part? It's not locked away in secret books or palaces. It's visible everywhere in the way leaders move, the way empires rise, the way influence quietly shapes decisions before words are even spoken. But here's the unsettling truth. Most people never see it. Because the blueprint contradicts what we're taught to believe. We grow up hearing that power belongs to the righteous, the kind, the deserving. Yet, history tells another story. Empires were not built by those who waited for fairness, but by those who understood how humans really behave when faced with fear, loyalty, ambition, and greed. Machiavelli saw through the mask. He realized that the appearance of virtue matters more than virtue itself. That people don't follow truth, they follow confidence. And that to rule the world, you must first understand how the world truly rules itself. It was a dangerous idea, almost heretical, because it stripped away the illusions that made society feel comfortable. It revealed that the difference between those who seem powerful and those who are powerful lies in one thing: perception. Think about it. In any room, there are people who talk about authority and those who become authority. The difference isn't status, or money, or fame. It's understanding the current beneath the surface, the emotional, psychological, and social energy that makes others defer, agree, or obey. Power is rarely visible. It's the silent gravity that bends everything around it. Machiavelli's blueprint taught that control begins not with domination, but with awareness. To see what others don't see. To recognize that people crave stability, direction, and strength even when they pretend to value equality. The powerful provide that illusion, while quietly shaping the outcome behind the scenes. And that's what made his work dangerous. Because once you understand the mechanics of influence, you can't unsee them. You start to notice the difference between performance and presence. Between leaders who wear crowns and leaders who don't need them. Between the appearance of control and actual control. This was Machiavelli's true gift. He turned power from a mystery into a science, one that outlives time, culture, and morality. And though centuries have passed, the blueprint remains untouched. You'll find it in politics, in boardrooms, in relationships, anywhere human ambition exists. It's unsettling, yes, but it's also liberating. Because once you recognize the hidden design, you stop fearing it. You start mastering it. And in that realization lies the most dangerous truth of all. Power isn't inherited, it's understood. Chapter 3. The Viewer's Silent Struggle. Power always feels distant, like it belongs to others. To the leaders on screens, the bosses in offices, the people who seem born to command. But the truth is, power isn't something you're given. It's something you've been taught to give away. And for most of your life, you've been doing exactly that. You've played fair. You've been kind. You've waited your turn. You've done everything you were told would earn respect, only to find that respect doesn't always follow effort. Somehow, the loud ones are listened to, while the wise stay unheard. The manipulators rise, while the honest ones are told to be patient. It's frustrating, almost painful to watch the world reward appearances over authenticity. But Machiavelli understood why this happens. He saw that the world doesn't revolve around fairness, it revolves around perception. And those who understand perception control the stage, while the rest are stuck in the audience, wondering why they were never invited to speak. You've probably felt at that moment when your ideas were overlooked until someone else repeated them louder. When your calmness was mistaken for weakness. When your empathy made people think you could be ignored. That's not weakness. That's misunderstood strength. Because the world rarely recognizes quiet power until it's forced to. This is the silent struggle of the modern world. To be powerful without losing your humanity. To stay kind, yet unshakable. To care, yet command. It's not easy. Because everything in you wants to be liked, accepted, understood. But here's the paradox. The more you try to be understood, the less you're respected. And the moment you stop chasing approval, something begins to shift. Machiavelli's insight wasn't to become ruthless, it was to stop being naive. He knew that those who see the world too innocently become food for those who don't. And that's where awareness becomes armor. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to understand the game you're in. Because power isn't always about dominance. Sometimes it's simply the ability to stay unmoved while others lose their balance. To speak less, but mean more. To see the truth and still remain calm within it. Every person faces this turning point. The decision to stop shrinking their power just to make others comfortable. The moment they realize that being too much was never the problem, being afraid of it was. And once you see that, once you understand that your silence, your discipline, your restraint were never weaknesses, but weapons, you begin to change. You stop waiting for respect. You start commanding it. That's the beginning of transformation, the end of the struggle between who you are and who you were told to be. Because power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just finally decides to stand up. Chapter 4. The Illusion of Goodness. We've all been raised on the same comforting lie. That good things come to good people, that virtue naturally leads to victory, that the world rewards sincerity over strategy. It's a beautiful idea, but it's also one of the most dangerous illusions ever created. Because when you believe goodness alone is enough, you become blind to the machinery that actually runs the world. And while you're playing by rules meant to keep you humble, someone else, someone colder, quieter, sharper, is playing to win. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He lived in a world where morality was a costume worn in public, removed in private, where leaders preached virtue by day and plotted by night. He didn't invent that hypocrisy. He simply exposed it. To him, goodness wasn't power, it was performance. He understood that the image of being good often matters more than goodness itself. Because people follow what they see, not what's true. And that's the dark brilliance of human nature. We crave decency, but we obey strength. Look around, the illusion is still alive today. Politicians stage humility for the cameras. Executives rehearse empathy in boardrooms. Influencers sell kindness for profit. We live in a theater of virtue, where perception replaces principle. And yet, deep down, everyone knows the truth. When the stakes are high, it's not the kind-hearted who hold the reins. It's the calculated. But this doesn't mean you must abandon goodness. It means you must understand its limits. Being good is admirable. Being unaware is fatal. Because the world doesn't just need saints, it needs strategists. Those who can move with integrity, but never be deceived by appearances. Think of it this way. Goodness is the sunlight that gives life, but without the structure of power, it burns out or gets swallowed by the dark. Virtue without vigilance is vulnerability. Compassion without clarity becomes manipulation. Machiavelli's lesson was simple but unsettling. If you want to remain pure, learn to see through corruption. If you want to stay kind, learn how cruelty operates. And if you want to lead with goodness, make sure it's fortified with wisdom. Because the illusion of goodness is what keeps people obedient. But understanding goodness, mastering when to show it, when to withhold it, that's what makes you formidable. The goal was never to become heartless. It was to stop being naive, to see that morality and power are not enemies, but tools. And only those who learn to balance them ever shape the world. And once you learn to do that, you stop being trapped in the illusion of being good and start becoming dangerously good. So now you know. The world was never as fair as they told you. Power was never given, it was claimed, quietly, by those who dared to understand it. And all along, it wasn't about cruelty, manipulation, or deceit. It was about clarity. You've seen behind the curtain the illusions, the performances, the fragile masks people wear to survive. But knowing the truth is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of your awakening. Because now, you stand where few ever do. Between who you were and who you're meant to become. The first step is silence. Not the silence of weakness, but of strength. Learn to listen more deeply, not to respond, but to see. Every person, every room, every word reveals its own pattern. The one who observes commands. The second step is restraint. Power is not the freedom to act on every impulse, it's the wisdom to hold back until the moment is right. Those who chase control lose it. Those who master patience own it. The third step is presence. You don't need to prove your worth, you only need to embody it. When your mind is calm, your words become law. When your purpose is clear, the world begins to move around you. And the final step, perhaps the hardest, is acceptance. Accept that not everyone will understand your strength. Some will fear it. Others will test it. But none will forget it. Because true power doesn't shout. It doesn't threaten. It simply is. That's the secret Machiavelli tried to tell the world, not how to rule others, but how to rule yourself. And when you do, you become something rare. A person who no longer bends for approval, who no longer hides their intensity, who no longer apologizes for existing fully. You become steady. You become certain. You become the one everyone feels before you even speak. That's not arrogance. That's mastery. The kind born from pain, clarity, and choice. So, take a breath. Look at the world again. Not as a battlefield, but as a board. Not as chaos, but as structure. Move with purpose. Speak with weight. And walk as if destiny itself recognizes your steps. Because this is where the transformation completes. Not in conquest, but in composure. Not in fear, but in freedom. The man everyone fears is not feared for what he might do. He's feared for what he already knows.